The NatWest scandal continued to rage on this week following the closure of Nigel Farage's bank account.
And the CEOs of both NatWest and Coup spectacularly fell from grace as revelations of political motives and media leaks continued to mount.
Despite the downfall of the two banking chiefs, the chairman of NatWest is still refusing to quit as the bank reports a surge in profits of nearly £1 billion.
The government has vowed to act to tackle debanking and to protect freedom of speech following the scandal. But how do they plan to do this? And does it go far enough?
And, of course, is it time for the chairman of NatWest Bank to go too? Well, I'm delighted to say that Nigel Farage joins us now. Nigel, thank you for joining us. You've certainly made a splash over the last couple of weeks.
Splash about cash.
Exactly. We've got the Treasury Minister, Andrew Griffith, coming on next. I think you think he's done a pretty good job, don't you?
Tremendous. I mean, Andrew Griffith has acted so quickly, calling in the bosses for a meeting of the 19 leading banks in the country, making it very clear that people should not be debanked for having perfectly legal opinions, suggesting actually that the whole rules must change, that if you are going to close an account, people need 90 days notice, not 30 days notice, that people deserve to be given a reason. Oh, no, on all of these things, I mean, he's acted swiftly, he's acted decisively, and to be fair, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak's been pretty supportive too, and it's not often Philip, that you've heard me praising this particular Conservative government, but in this case, I absolutely do. But really, the focus must remain on the NatWest banking group, bearing in mind that the taxpayer is still by far the biggest shareholder. We have a stake in this. And frankly, what happened yesterday was Sir Howard Davis, the chairperson, as he calls himself, of the NatWest group, announcing the figures and saying, everything's fine, I'm staying on, there's just going to be a little review and we'll get to the bottom of what happened in the Farage case. None of that is good enough for the following three reasons. Firstly, he was formerly the boss of the FSA, the regulator, the predecessor to the FCA. And yet Alison Rose broke several of the most important fundamental rules of that code. And yet Sir Howard thought she should stay in her job until he was forced to call another emergency board meeting at which they got rid of it. So misjudgment on that was enormous. Secondly, he yesterday said she was a great leader, which means he's opened the door for her to be given £2.43 million to go away. And I do not think, as investors and taxpayers into this company, that the majority of people will find that acceptable. But here is what really sums up why I'm afraid he's unsuitable. He announces there'll be a review into why the Farage accounts were closed, and he appoints Travers Smith, a city law firm. Well, hey, how about this? The chair emeritus and senior advisor of that company is a man called Chris Hale, who during the referendum campaign described Brexiteers as being xenophobic, racist, and nostalgic. Almost exactly the same phraseology that was used about me in that report that Coots had done into me, which originally led to me being debanked. And what Sir Howard has done is to choose one of his establishment chums to call it an inquiry, to make it a total whitewash. And I don't see how anybody in their right minds can think this is a fair and reasonable way to proceed. And I repeat the point. This is not just a commercial company listed on a stock exchange. We, the taxpayer, are the major investor. And it's interesting, if you read the financial press this morning and the commentary, right across the spectrum, including a lot of commentators who did not support Brexit and certainly would not support me, and it's wall to wall that Howard Davis has got all of this wrong this week and simply must be replaced at the soonest possible opportunity.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed. But just one quick point. Who'd have believed it, if you're still there, Nigel, that the banks would have forced you and Gina Miller to unite opposite sides of the Brexit argument? Oh, we must have gone. They've taken him off too quick. But who'd have believed it anyway? Nigel, you're there. Who'd have believed it? The banks would have forced you and Gina Miller together on this campaign.
There are issues in life that are bigger, more fundamental, more vital and important than than what we think about any particular political issue. Either we want to live in a free, democratic society, or we head towards a model of a Chinese communist social credit system. And I would absolutely support Gina Miller's right to have a bank account, as I would Jeremy Corbyn or anybody on the extreme left. And I hope both of you would as well. This is about the very country that we are supposed to be. And I'm afraid the politicization of both our public and corporate sectors is taking us to a place where we cannot speak or act freely. And I hope and pray...
Nigel, we're going to have to... I know Andrew Griffith is hanging on, so I'm going to bring him in.
Okay.
But thank you for everything you've done. Thank you from us and the tens and tens of thousands of people who are signing up to your new campaign. Thank you, Nigel.